Additional questions. How was prayer preserved if so many differing views? The response to that is that if you actually study the prayer, the salah, you will notice that the differences are not actually that many. But since Nasiruddin al-Albani, he wrote his notorious book, Sifatu Salatin Nabi, the Prophet's Prayer Described, which became a Salafi manual for people in how to pray. Initially, Nasiruddin al-Albani, he said he criticized the followers of the four schools, the madhahib, al-madhahib al-arba'. When he criticized them for saying that these schools have manuals with no proofs. So like for instance in the Hanafi school you have Mukhtasar al-Quduri, a manual in Hanafi fiqh. It has no proofs, even though there are commentaries giving the proofs. He criticized the madhahib for this. So he wrote a book, Sifatu Salatin Nabi. This book was translated in the 1990s into English, and it had an effect on the prayers of so many people across the UK who read this book thinking the Hanafi school or the other schools, al-madhahib, they have no difference in terms of what, they have no proofs, and Sheikh Nasiruddin al-Albani is providing proof. This is what they thought at the time, reading that book. So they exaggerated the differences in the prayer. Exaggerated to what extent? That in the Shafi'i school, for instance, you place your hands above the navel and you place the right hand upon the left forearm. And in the Hanafi school, you place the right hand on the left palm with the fingers outstretched on the left forearm, under the navel. Not much of a big difference. If in fact, with some people you will not even notice the difference. But Nasiruddin al-Albani came with the literal meaning of on the chest, to that point. So it's an exaggerated method of praying. And then the additional difference that he introduced was spreading the legs out so wide that when people enter the masjid, they see someone spreading the legs, spreading the thobe out wide to a large degree. What was this based upon? It was based upon a faulty understanding with regard to the hadith of joining shoulder to shoulder. So in the hadith it mentions that a person should join shoulder to shoulder, and when in the hadith it mentions you join shoulder to shoulder, one of the hadith mentions that the Sahaba alayhim ridwan, when they joined the shoulders, some of them they joined the feet and the knees. One narration mentions this. So in the four schools, joining the shoulders is sunnah mu'akkada, an emphatic sunnah. And the Sahaba alayhim ridwan, they joined the feet also. But when you do this with spreading the feet so wide, what will happen? The shoulders will not join. If you spread them out so wide, the shoulders will not actually join. So the first task is actually to join the shoulders. That's the sunnah. That is what the madhahib, the schools mention. You join the shoulders in the prayer. But when you spread the feet out so wide, what will happen? That there will be a gap in the prayer, in the row. But what is the proof for spreading the feet out so wide when praying alone? So many madakhila, madkhalis, when they pray alone, you observe them, they spread their feet out super wide. This is not found in the hadith and the sunnah. So in reality, the differences that are found in the hadith, in the four madhahib, in the salah, are not so exaggerated. They are very subtle. In fact, you can sometimes come across a Shafi'i praying, you will not even realize he's a Shafi'i, because they may not even do the raf'ul yadayn, because it's mustahab in the school. It's not essential. It's mustahab to raise the hands, do takbir before going down and getting up in the Shafi'i school. But the way the pseudo Ahlul Hadith, the so-called Ahlul Hadith in the Indian subcontinent, the way they debate the issue as if the issue is an issue of usuluddin, an issue which is essential to the deen of Allah. And this is why it's essential for people not to exaggerate those differences. This point was picked up upon by Abdullah Azzam. When a Sheikh Abdullah Azzam entered Afghanistan with foreign fighters, some of the foreign fighters, the Arabs, they made issues of the Afghani Mujahideen praying like Hanafis. So Sheikh Abdullah Azzam, he commanded them to pray like Hanafis. And then they prayed like Hanafis to keep the coherence of the Jamaah, to keep the Muslims united in fighting the communist occupation. So they did not divide the Jamaah. But later on, Salafism, when it evolved and it became Al-Qa'idah, it divided the Muslims, something which I will go on to later due to some of the questions which are mentioned further down.